What's going on, Real Beauty Bosses? Jordan and Bree here. We are back at you with another interview, and this time it's not 60K a month. It's not 100K a month. Where are we at now, Bree? Because we've done interviews at those levels. Where are we at now?
We are over 200,000 a month, hitting over $1 million for the year.
Boom, boom. So this is super exciting for me because like I've been able to be a huge part of it, and it's been so awesome to watch you grow, because ultimately watching and helping you grow is what really has helped create this belief in this community that other people can do it too. And we were just talking about it. Like, we interviewed you when you had just gone from like 20,000 a month to 60,000 a month. And then you were just telling me you were super nervous for that interview.
Oh my God.
And then here you are doing all these videos together. We're going live, you're doing the coaching calls. So like, what I want to share with everyone today is like, Bree's going to share like her ins and outs, the journey leading up to this point to 200,000 a month and over $1 million, probably $2 million this next year. And she's going to just give you her story. So with that being said, Bree, for those who don't know who you are, how about you share a little bit of background on yourself and like maybe your origin story of getting into the salon industry and first, like, you know, going down this path in the first place.
Awesome. So I did not do this as my first love, I guess you could say. It is my first love, but I didn't do it as my first profession. I've been through a lot of things. I come from a family of business owners. We've done things from oil field businesses to owning country clubs, golf courses. My husband's an engineer. He's gone all the time, constantly. I have 2 girls that are my life. I built my first salon right out of hair school. Everybody told me, this is never going to be a profession. It's a hobby. You're never going to make money. You're going to spend more than what you make, blah, 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 the story that everybody hears, right? So I started building in a little town of about 400 people. I was able to build that, and then I could just feel the urge to constantly want more. I knew there had to be more out there. I also had always wanted to be able to give people straight out of school a platform or a place to go where they were able to learn, because you feel like you've been thrown to the wolves. Mm-hmm. So I kind of put those 2 things together and purchased a salon in Fort Worth and got a team, and we have just been killing it.
I love it. Well, I think like the most important thing like about your story that's so impactful is like you started out as a solo professional building ground zero. And like we have a lot of those people in this community. So like, would you mind sharing like what that journey looked like? What did your first 3 months look like as a solo professional?
Struggle is the only thing that I can say. I didn't know how to get my name out there. I didn't know how to bring people in the door. I would spend days just kind of sitting, waiting for people to come. And that's just not realistic. It's never going to happen. So I had to get more involved in the community, which I decided to do, which is what helped me a ton. But it was a huge struggle in the beginning. Once I got my name out there a little bit, I was able to start getting some referrals, doing things like that. And it just started growing. I ended up doing 90% of the teachers at the high school, 90% of the high school girls, and then I had their moms, sisters, aunts after that. So it worked out perfectly.
Love it. So, and I think this is what's so powerful is like a lot of people see the Bree now who's doing 200,000 a month, but they don't get to see the Bree who went through all that struggle, you know? So like how long did it take you to build an actual client base? And like what you know, was your first year like as a solo professional? You said you built from just getting connected, local networking, and like using your referral, your power base. But like ultimately, like how long, let's talk about financial milestones. Like how long did it take you to get to like 5,000 a month to start?
Oh my gosh, I probably only hit about $10,000 my first year, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, it's a struggle and it's very, very hard. And if you don't know how to find the clients and you don't know how to keep the clients, it is really, really hard on people. And I think that's why people in this industry give up so soon. They just, it's a struggle, complete struggle. So it's very hard. I think after my 3rd year, I was finally making enough money. I probably went from about 10,000 the first year. I think by the 3rd year, I was able to make about $80,000, which for a solo is pretty good in a small town. And then I was just able to grow from there. The problem with that was that I topped out. I had no more time to put into the studio unless I wanted to see people 16 hours a day, which isn't realistic. I wanted to be able to attend my kids' softball games and proms and things of that nature. So once I was able to do that, I didn't know where else to go or what to do.
Gotcha. So just to backtrack, so 3 years it took you to get to 80,000 a year. So that's like, I mean, what is that, like 6,000 to 7,000 a month, maybe a little bit more? Mm-hmm. It took 3 years to do that.
It did.
How fast do you think it would have taken you if you had this program?
Oh, I think within the first year, I would have been hitting probably at least 40 to 50.
Mhm.
So I think by the second year, I would have at least doubled that.
Love it. So ultimately, as a solo professional, you got to doing about $80,000 a year. It took you 3 years to do that. And then is when you realize that I'm kind of capped out on time. There's
Right.
not too much more that I can do with my time to make more money. So
Mhm.
like, what made you want to go into salon ownership? Because a lot of people want to like get into being an educator or like start their own product lines and do all this stuff. And they want to stay small. They want to stay solo. Why did you want to get into ownership?
So there's a couple of reasons. I think one of the first reasons was my struggles and my stories. And I wanted to give people an opportunity to have a place to go to and work. I didn't want people to feel the struggle that I felt right out of the gate coming out of school. That's very, very important to me. They send you out of school, here you go, you've paid all this money, you've made your hours, bye, see ya. And there's nowhere to go. So I wanted to give people that opportunity. I didn't want them to struggle the way that I did. The other reason that I did salon ownership is a lot of research. I realized that I could start my own product line, but how much more work was that going to be for me on top of all the hours I'm putting in behind the chair? I could become an educator and then I'm traveling and leaving my family. If I'm going to travel, I would rather travel with my family, not leaving my family. And so a lot of research went into play, and salon ownership to me is really the only way to go to make money in this industry.
Got it. So you realized that that's what you needed to do to make the money you wanted to make. How
And
long
to free up my time,
and
honestly.
time? So it wasn't
Yeah.
just about financial freedom, it's about time freedom too.
Yes.
Gotcha. So how long did it take to get into your first salon? Is Nova Hair Studio the first salon you owned?
That is the first salon I've owned. Yes, it
So
is.
how long did it take from start to ownership? How long did it take?
So I had about 6 years in between there from my solo up until I purchased the studio.
Gotcha. So 3 years of a solo to get to 80,000 per year, and then 3 years of about doing about 80,000 a year
Correct.
or getting into ownership.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And I had no time. I was working all the time. I mean, every
Yeah.
weekend.
What kept you going? Because that's a long time to be just stagnant, you know?
I think we had plans. My husband and I had plans. If you don't know the oil field industry, it's very up and down. So you work when you can work and you put money back because you never know. And so that's always just kind of driven me a little bit.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to just stop, but I didn't want to leave the industry either. I didn't want to wait tables. I didn't want to go back to doing other things. Like I loved doing this.
So you had a passion for
I did.
serving and helping others, and you knew you had a bigger vision of wanting to help others in this industry as well.
Right.
I love it. So ultimately, like before we get into ownership, like is there anything about your story that you feel is important to mention from someone who's maybe making or looking to make that full circle, like, you know, from starting out from ground zero to becoming $1 million salon owner, multi-million-dollar salon owner, that you feel was important to leading to your success, or that you feel it would have gotten you there sooner?
So I'm gonna talk about two things. First of all, the struggle has to happen. You're going to struggle a little bit and it has to happen. You've got to get through it. You've got to learn to be rejected and be able to get through that. This all plays into being a salon owner in the long run. You've got to go through all of those things. You have to take the help that you can get. If you can find a program that is going to help you and 10x those things or make them go much faster, you've got to take the time, even though you don't think you have it, do the work so that you can reach those goals in a quicker period. Had I had something like this, I probably would have been doing this 3 years into my independent ownership. You know what I mean?
100%.
It's just amazing.
And is there anything like that you feel like, because you went to cosmetology school, did you what was your prior work experience, by the way? I forgot to ask you that. What did you do before then? What, like, did you go to college? Did you go to high school education? What was your education like before
I
cosmetology?
did. So high school, nursing school. And then I was a stay-at-home mom. Like I said, my family's owned businesses. So I always chipped in there, and that I lost my brother. And so the healthcare industry was just not something that I wanted to do anymore. So that just kind of was alleviated.
I completely get it. I'm sorry to hear that. That definitely would be rough. Get it.
Yeah.
So what made you direct to cosmetology school?
It's actually something that I had wanted to do when I was in like middle school and high school. I just was one of those people that was always told, you're never going to make any money. It's just a hobby. Like you work your tail feather off and nothing comes from it. You're never going to get health insurance. You're never going to get vacation. You're never going to, all of the negatives I just let go into my head. And so I decided to push my love away and do other things.
Is there something you wish you would have learned in cosmetology school that they didn't teach you?
Oh my gosh, there is so much that I wish, not the hands-on stuff, but I wish that they would teach you how to be an employee of a salon and how to be an owner, the management stuff, the things that you need to know, that daily ins and outs of either being a solo or running a salon, because you learn none of that.
100%. That's a lot of what we talk about. It's like beauty cosmetology school. They don't teach you how to run the business, right?
The second thing is, I wish they would teach you that clients aren't just going to drive up on a busloads full. Like, you have to go get them.
Right. Enough of the hope and pray, right?
Yeah.
Go and get it. So what allowed you, and then we'll transition back when I want to hear the moment you opened your doors till now. What allowed you to get to that $80,000 per year mark as a solo? What do you think were like the most keystone moves you made, or education that you were able to study that allowed you to make that happen? Because a lot of people never get to that point as a solo.
No, they don't. I think education is one of the biggest things. I tried to, some of the salon, like I said, town of 400 people. There's not many people here, but we have a lot of small towns around. Right. There's a bigger town close, and that's where everybody goes to get their hair done. So I had to set myself apart to make them drive 20 miles this way instead of 20 miles that way. Right. And education was huge, to be able to bring in the new things that were coming out, like balayage at that time, or like platinum cards, or things of that nature, to offer things that maybe had been offered in salons before, but to rename them and make them kind of stand out. That was huge.
Love it. Okay. And then is there any, like, where did you get your education from on how to build your business? Like, is it just trial and error for you?
It was trial and error and just researching constantly. And there was a lot of error in there. And I want people to understand that this was not just snap my fingers, here I go, boom. There wasn't anything to really look out to. I mean, there wasn't.
Yeah, totally. So what would be your biggest top 3, top 5, however many tips that you would give a solo professional who is looking to get to that point where they can do $80,000 to $100,000 a year? And then maybe they want to get into ownership, but like, how do they get to $80,000 to $100,000 a year? What are your tips?
Overcome rejection. You've got to overcome it, because you're going to get it all day. It's going to happen. Number 2, don't be scared. Don't be scared to reach out. I know people think that just talking to someone is cold conversation. Don't be scared to reach out. Number 3, ask the clients that you have now for referrals. You have to do that. People don't do it enough. You have to ask. Number 4, if people aren't coming in, you've got to find a way to go get them. You've got to brainstorm ideas and figure out a way to get people in. And number 5, do not ever give up. You've got to keep pushing yourself. You can do it, but you've got to push yourself.
Love it. I think that's great advice. Let's go ahead and now, like, fast forward until opening up Nova Hair Studio. Tell me about it.
All right. So I was going to build a salon actually closer to where I live. But I started researching, and there were so many salons in that area. I just didn't feel like that would be a good fit. So I live about an hour and 30 minutes from my studio now. But that's okay. So I started looking, and we found a plot of land, and we were going to build, but I did a little bit more research, and I ended up finding a studio that was already open that was for sale. So my way of thinking was, instead of 6 months down the road, I can do it tomorrow. Like, I can be open now, and I'm kind of a go-getter. So for me, that was the thing to do. So I purchased the studio. Purchasing a studio that is already open is not, to me, it's easier to open one on your own. Right. Because I had employees that were there. Were they going to stay? Were they going to leave? What was going to happen? I had clients that used to come to that studio, but was it run well? Was it run poorly? Was it going to affect me in any way? I didn't know. So we opened the doors and hit the ground running. But in saying that, I had to have a plan when I went in the door. So I had about a week and a half to get all of this mapped out and try to figure it out for opening day. Yeah.
Do you have any tips for someone who may be looking to make that jump right now? Like, what goes into planning and opening up a new salon?
So much. And it's way harder than what you think. The best advice I can say that I didn't have that I wish I would have is find a mentor, find a program, find something that can help you map it out, because you can think you have everything lined up, but you're missing about 50 things in between those target points every time. And
when you say get a mentor, do you feel like who is your mentor, if you don't mind sharing?
That's the problem, is I didn't really have one.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find people in the salon industry that want to reach out and help and share, because it's such a competitive profession. people are scared, well, if I help this salon owner do this, then they're going to beat me out, or they're going to, it is so competitive. And I didn't have anybody to reach out to. I could research these $1 million owners, but what were they really doing? I don't know.
And I think that's why, like, you and I, and, you know, what we've been able to do with Real Beauty Bosses is so powerful, because like, you've gone through everything. You've gone through the dirt, you've stepped through the mud, and like, you know what problems you faced along the way. And like, you are now helping us and working with our community to be able to share that with others. And I think like, that's something that's so needed in this industry that no one is going to find anywhere else but with Real Beauty Bosses. And that's why
I agree with that 1,000,000%. Like, you can pay other people because there are people out there now, and you can pay them, but you're getting PDF files, and you're getting things that you can read, or pre-recorded videos that you can watch. You're not getting that one-on-one, I want to be a partner in this with you and actually watch you grow. It's kind of, here, go do this.
100%. And we'll get into more about your journey with us later on, but we're not there yet. We just opened the doors. I'm telling the story as we go.
Sure.
So, or you're telling the story. I'm asking the questions. So we open up Nova Hair Studio. It's you get it up and going. What happened your first 3 to 6 months in business? What did that look like?
The first 3 to 6 months were very rocky. I needed to mind my P's and Q's and not change too much. I needed to make sure that the employees that I had that had a clientele kind of stayed around for a little bit, because I needed a little bit of money coming in just to pay the bills in the beginning.
Right.
So it was struggle. I was there I would leave my house about 5:30 every morning, drive to the studio, and I was getting home around 11 o'clock every night, all day, every day, all day long, just putting out fires and trying to figure out why the reputation was the way that it was, and how to get clients back in that aren't coming in anymore, and how am I going to make this my own without the previous stuff affecting me.
Gotcha. How many people did you have in the salon during that first 6 months?
There were 11.
11. So you hired people pretty fast.
I did because I knew that I was going to have some people that were on my side, that had my back, that were on my team per se. And I know that sounds bad, but it's something that had to happen, because if all of the old girls walked out, I was in trouble.
Right. So all 11 stylists, all of them were stylists, or did you have an assistant or anything else?
There were 2 associates. So they were actually on the floor doing hair, and the rest were stylists.
Got it. Okay. So with that being said, in that first 6 months, you were able to hire and bring on 11 people. How did that process go? How did you hire so many people so fast?
I reached out to some of the schools, and then I also used my resources. I knew people that did hair. I knew people that I went to school with. I stayed in tight contact with some of my instructors that I went to hair school and spoke to. I just reached out to everybody that I could know. I utilized Indeed, and I utilized Facebook.
Gotcha. Love it. And then where were you at financially with the salon in about 6 months? What was the total revenue? And then what was profit, if you had to guess?
We were probably making around $25,000 a month. I would say what I was able to keep after all of the overhead and payroll taxes and everything might have been about $1,200 a month, if that. If that. Yeah.
I think that's eye-opening, because like a lot of people like think that if you just hire more stylists, you'll make more money. But like, you had 11 stylists only doing $25,000 a month, which may sound a lot to someone on the outside. Like 25,000 divided.
But if you divide that by 11, that's not very much money.
Let's do the math. Like 25,000 divided by 11, that's only like $2,000 per person.
Right.
And so like, with all the expenses, all the overhead, all of the things that go into business ownership, you were only taking home $1,200 a month. That's less than you were making as a solo.
Well, hold on. I wasn't taking home anything.
Oh, so you weren't even taking that home?
I took home zero. That went back into the account, so that if the hot water heater went out, or, you have to keep money in there, because you never know what's going to happen.
That's insane. So like, how long did it take of not making any money at the salon?
I did not pay myself for 2 years.
2 years?
2 years.
Take home a penny?
Nothing.
Wow. So how did you get by? Just doing services yourself?
So I was behind the chair some, and I would, if I did the services, I would pay myself that. But I tried not to be behind the chair too much, because I had the internal stuff that I had to figure out. Luckily, I'm married. My husband was able to carry the family very easily. So that gave me a little bit of leeway to be able to do things.
It's pretty interesting now, because it's flip-flopped. You're the breadwinner.
It is. It is. We were talking about that day before yesterday.
That's
I was like, if you could just get a job. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's a story to tell. That's amazing.
It is.
So 2 years this went by. What allowed you to start shifting and turning a profit?
RBB.
Okay. So that's where we came in.
That's where you guys came in. I mean,
Wow, okay.
I would make, 25,000, 30,000. I was getting new clients in the door, not as rapidly, but when you're first owning a business, you've got to think of everything. And it's really hard to try to get, like, I had my referral process that I was using, but I needed something that was a well-oiled machine to be able to do easily so that I could focus on the other stuff and keep it reined in.
I totally get it. So 2 years of not making any money with the business, you found Real Beauty Bosses.
I did.
And how did you find us? And in your own words, like, what did that journey look like for you?
I was scrolling through Facebook one night, just scrolling through, and I saw some ad or something like that. And so I clicked on it, and it was like, sign up for the free training, whatever. It's been so long ago. And so I signed up and I watched it. And I'm going to be really honest with people when I say this. And people that know me know I'm just honest. I wasn't even paying attention to what you guys were trying to sell at first. It was something about you and Katie. Like, I connected with you guys somehow, and that made me start listening and understanding and watching the process. And I know that sounds really weird, but for me, that's just who I am. It's how I do things. And so I remember laying in bed, and I think I told my husband, I was like, okay, if this program is underneath a certain amount of money, I'm signing up. And he was like, it's never going to be under that amount of money. I don't even remember what number I threw out there. I don't even know what I paid for the program, but it was like $5 cheaper than the number I had thrown out. And so I signed up for the program. It was that fluke of a thing. Like, that's just how it happened.
That's crazy. And it's so crazy too, because like, we had no idea who each other were. And something about us somehow resonated with you. And now we're like best friends. We text every day.
It is funny.
That's awesome. So you pulled the trigger on our first program. Let's talk about your journey getting involved with that. What was going through your mind, and like, what did your first few months look like in that program with us?
Once again, I'm going to be truthful. So I signed up, and I was probably one of the first people in the group. I think y'all said like number 5 or something like that, literally, that signed up from that webinar. And I met everybody in our little group, and I started talking to a few people because there weren't a lot of us in there at the time, and we would have like our own side conversations, and everybody was like, I'm afraid this is going to be a scam. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. So that was playing through my mind. I'm like, did I just totally screw up? And I think the difference in me and them was, I was like, you know what? I've spent this money. I haven't paid myself in 2 years. And so I'm going to do whatever they say to do. And if it works, great. If not, I've already spent the money anyway. So what does it matter?
Yep. Totally.
And I just got involved. That's the difference. I got involved.
100%. And how long did it take you to start getting results in the program?
I started seeing results probably within the first 3 months. And I'm going to be honest with everybody about this too. I am very technologically challenged. I am not good with this stuff. So for me, it took a little bit longer than what it might have taken other people. And the program was new at that time too. So things were done differently than what it is now. Now it's like this huge golden egg that everybody can just walk through, and there are no excuses. Back then it wasn't, everything that what we have now, and it was done a little differently. So it did take me longer. I was hesitant to use my personal profile. I was hesitant to reach out to people. I was hesitant to talk during the coaching call. There are so many things that I didn't want to do. So it pushed me a little bit further back in the beginning.
Right. What was the first light bulb or proof moment where you were like, this shit works?
I remember that we were driving to, I hadn't taken a trip in forever, and my grandpa had had a heart attack and a stroke, and we were going to a family reunion. And so I had 10 hours in the car because we drove. And I started just kind of going over stuff that we had learned. My husband was driving, started going over stuff that we had learned, things of that nature. And I was like, you know what? I've got all this time. Maybe I'll just try some of it, whatever. My husband's like, what are they going to say? No. So you didn't have them before. You don't have them now. What's the big deal? And I think that for me was okay, because I'm not a shy person, really. I'm pretty outgoing and very sarcastic. And that trip gave me the opportunity to just sit down and be like, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And I think I probably messaged 50 people within the next 2 or 3 days. I started out kind of slow, but people started responding, and people wanted to book, and they saw our work, and they wanted to come in. And so I was like, crap, if I can get 8 out of 50 people, those are pretty dang good odds.
Right. Totally.
And I just saw that it worked. So
love it. So how long did it take? You started at $25,000 a month. How long I know you've hit a lot of milestones. What was the next big milestone for you that you remember explicitly? Like what revenue targets did you hit where you're like, whoa, like this is really working?
Well, I remember while I was at the family reunion, I started doing some of the organic stuff that was taught, and I booked a huge wedding. It was like almost 20,000. I booked 2 weddings. I think they were 10,000 each. And I remember making a post, and I'm sure we can find it on there. And so for me at that point, I was like, we didn't do weddings at the studio. Those were our first weddings that we were doing, and I booked them organically. So for me, that was a huge milestone. Doesn't sound like a lot to a lot of people, but for me, going from $0 to $20,000 for weddings in a matter of a day was huge.
100%. And where did like you then hit like 50,000 a month?
Then we hit 50,000, and that was just, it didn't take that long. I would say maybe 2 months.
2 months. So
yeah, after starting the program.
5,000 a month to 50,000 a month in 2 months.
Yes, because we started using the organic, and we started using, you know, things that I was learning to book some of my employees. Yes.
That's amazing. Just even recapping this, like we did this so fast together. It's like, it's mind blowing how fast it can happen, you know?
I can see how people think that it wouldn't be true. I'm not going to lie. I could see how people are very skeptical of my story, of the program, of anything, but I know that's not the case. So I don't want people to feel skeptical because I know that it works.
100%. So like when you hit 50,000 a month, only 2 months after joining Realty Bosses, were you then able to start taking home a profit?
So I was saving money. I was saving money, but I still didn't pay myself.
Okay. So it was going into the business as savings.
Correct.
Got it.
Yes.
So what happened after that? Let's go from 50, because we have our 10,000, 25,000, 50,000, 100,000 per month clubs in the winner circle in our program. What was the journey from 50,000 a month to 100,000 a month?
I think using things in the program.
How long did that take first? How long was that?
Well, we hit $100,000 for our first time. I think it was September, October of 2020. Okay. So that's the first time that we had hit that $100,000. We had been very close, but we hadn't hit it yet. So I would say that probably took 8 months or so.
8 months.
But we had COVID in the middle of all that. We have to remember that. We had COVID and we were shut down. So
that's so crazy.
We hit $100,000 coming almost right out of COVID. We were making $80,000 and $90,000 like the month that we came out of COVID. So that's pretty dang good.
That's insane, because most people, they think it takes years to do this. Like with 10 months with Real Beauty Bosses, you went from 25,000 a month to 100,000 a month. 8 months.
That's correct. It's correct.
Or 10 months total. With COVID
10 months total.
With COVID.
Yes.
That's nuts. Okay, so let's talk about that. What was that journey like through those 8 months?
In the beginning, it was very hard starting the program, opening up, like I said. But once I realized that stuff like this worked, I was hungry and eager, and I wanted more, and I wanted more, and I wanted more.
So you just had 1,000 a month. You're like, I can do more. I can do more.
I can do this. Yes, this is doable. People that said this is a hobby are crazy, because there is money flooding in my doors right now. My employees are making more money than they've ever made, so they're content and happy. I don't know. We ran our ad, we did our model call, we did things of that nature, and it was great. It was great. But for me, the organic was constantly bringing people in the door, period, bar none.
Gotcha. So let's talk about, you know, it maybe took you a few months to get from like 50,000 to like 70, 80, 90,000 a month.
Right.
Then COVID happens.
Yeah.
What did you do back in March when COVID happened?
I freaked out, like everybody freaked out. I was worried about my employees. I was not worried about myself, and I wasn't worried about the studio. I knew that I had the business sense to make sure that there was money in the bank, but I was worried about my employees. And more than anything, I was worried about my employees not having clients when they came back. If we were able to open up, how am I going to get clients? People are going to be terrified. So I just started using the strategic things that we were taught in RBB and reaching out to people. And I booked 1,000 appointments during COVID.
That's nuts. How do you do that? For everyone's probably asking, how the hell do you book 1,000 appointments? No way.
You reach out to people, you call people, you put that personal touch. When you are shut down that way, there is no excuse for not reaching out to your clients that have been supporting you for the last 2 years. There is no excuse for not reaching out to people who you've talked to over Messenger. Even if they weren't interested in my services, I was reaching out to them. Hey, this COVID thing is crazy. I just wanted to see how you were feeling. Everything okay? Anything I can do to help? It was amazing at the people that weren't interested, how they suddenly got interested to support me when my doors opened back up.
Awesome. So really what you're saying is what really allowed you to not just survive, but thrive during COVID-19 was something as simple as personal connections, phone
That's
calls
it.
to clients, text to clients, voicemails, like just good old fashioned human connection.
That's right.
Love it. And so what happened was you were able to get that momentum going during the shutdown and then get all of your clients pre-booked back on the books for the projected opening date. And then boom, we hit 100,000 a month.
Right. Boom.
Love it. And I remember, it's funny, we'll have to maybe include links to your 50,000 a month interview and your 100,000 a month interview because we've done
Oh
both.
gosh.
But let's now, we're 10 months into Real Beauty Bosses, we're at 100,000 a month. So this is post-COVID, we're in a post-COVID environment now. What is changing in the business? What is happening in the business? What happens next from 100,000 to like, let's say 150,000?
Okay. So I knew that we were making money. I knew that my employees were taken care of. They were booked. We had a wait list. We were able to do things, but I knew there had to be ways to capitalize on the clients that we had right now. So what could I do to get more money in the door when I couldn't bring in more clients? There were no room for more clients. I couldn't hire more. You're at 50% or 75%. COVID won't let you do those things, you know. So we started going over some of the modules and some of the retail things that were talked about and some of the packaging things that were talked about. I decided to focus on add-ons and things of that nature. So we just, well, and you and I discussed quite a bit the retail because I was bound and determined not to do it. I mean, that's all there was to it. We were selling, you know, $2,000.
It's so funny. A lot of the things that you're currently doing now that made you 210,000 a month. I remember when we first had the conversation about it, like, I don't know if that's going to work in our business. And then
I was like, I'm not doing that, Jordan. I'm not doing it.
And like,
but I think that's good because I think people need to realize, like, just because Jordan and Katie or myself or Corey or Veronica or whoever it is say to do something a certain way, take that as the mustard seed and run with it. It took me a second to process. Okay, Jordan, the way I'm hearing you say this is I'm going to sound like a car salesman and I don't want to do that. But as I started thinking and figuring out my own way of doing it, I was like, I can do what Jordan said in my way and my culture and make this work.
You call me a car salesman?
No, I'm just saying that's the way it sounded in my head.
Well, I think like when you hear these new ideas, these new things that you're not trained or comfortable with, it can easily
scary.
Your brain goes to that alternative,
Yep.
and it's like, oh, I don't want to be that type of person. But you know, you hear it and you think about it and you realize it's the right thing to do. You figure out how to do it your own way, right?
Yeah, and I think one of the best things that you and I talked about was we are salespeople. Period. Point blank. There's no freaking way around it.
100%. So, what took you from 100,000 a month to 150,000 a month is what, forgive me if I'm wrong, but you're basically telling me COVID presented an opportunity for you to think more critically inside the business and find a way to get your clients spending more money with you without getting more clients. And that's what took you from 100,000 a month to 150 was working in, not working in the business, working on the business, on the inside operations to figure out how we could produce more value for our clients in exchange for more money. Right?
Absolutely. It gave me time to figure out what retail I wanted to sell, what I wanted to bring in, how much I needed to have, and to talk to my team and let them know, hey, girls, I've kind of put this together and there's a possibility for you guys to make this much more money if you just sell these products. Like, this is what I can offer you. This is a bonus to you.
Totally get it. So what happened before we get to 200,000 a month? This is a play-by-play here. So tell me what happened with your team during this time. How did your team shift and change from 25,000 a month to 150? Because I'm sure some changes were made. I know you have now less than 11 people. Is that right?
I do.
So that's nuts. So not only have we helped and been a part of you being able to go from 25,000 a month to now 200,000 a month, like we've been able to do that with less people than you had when you started.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. What changed in your size of your team from 25,000 a month to, let's say, 150?
Okay, so I think as I was going through the program and doing things, and I was realizing that there is ways to make money in this industry, and I was learning how to do that, I had to look inside myself and my team as well and see who had the eagerness that I had, who wanted to work less and make more money, essentially, who was willing to put their I'm not going to do this aside and learn new things. And so it took a lot of hiring and firing and doing those things. it was tough. It was tough. Salon ownership is hard. I'm not going to lie to you. Like when my grandpa had the stroke and heart attack, 2 of my top stylists left. They stole all of the client information and left the studio. So at that point, we lost a ton of money. Technically, we shouldn't have even been making $30,000 a month after that. You know what I mean? But I wanted somebody and people who had the same vision I did. And when I started hiring 1, and then I hired 2 with my culture and my vision in mind, and I realized these 2 are doing double what the other 2 did, who were lazy and not team players. I was able to bring in people that I knew were going to help me grow because they wanted that for the benefit of themselves and for our company.
Love it. Okay. That's very insightful. Anyone who is looking to build a team should rewind that and listen to it. I love it. So how many people do you have now? You had 11. How many people do you have on your team?
So now we have 8.
8. Perfect. So we've actually gone from 11 to 8. So 3 people were cut from the operation. Yeah. How many people do you think you've hired and fired over the years?
Oh, there's been several. Probably not as much as most salons, because I know the turnover rate is crazy. And it's hard for me to let people go, or it used to be, but now I've understand. Yeah, I just understand now that it's something that I have to do for myself, for my business, and for them. I need to push them to do other things. I just had to let somebody go last weekend. So, it is what it is. The beauty of that now is that we're getting known and people know who we are and they're coming to us. And so stylists are coming to us as well. I get resumes all the time of people wanting to work for us.
100%. So when you started making about $150,000 a month, were you taking a profit yet?
Yes.
Okay. So what did that look like, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure. So I was able to pay myself about $10,000 a month.
Wow.
And then obviously put stuff aside into savings. Like, I'm big on that. I always put back into the business constantly. That's more important than paying
that to this day at $200,000 a month.
So I could, but for tax purposes, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm doing it a certain way that my accountant wants me to, and we're writing more stuff off. So it's just a little bit different way of doing it. I could easily pay myself probably 15 to 20 right now and be just fine.
That's amazing. That's life-changing for most people.
And I'm not behind the chair at all anymore.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. And like, for anyone who doesn't know Real Beauty Bosses, we have a core program called the Real Beauty Bosses Elite Program. That's our flagship program that Bree and I have developed over the years. And with our thousands of clients, we have over 3,000 people we've worked with to date. We are now working on a new program that will be live and running in the next month called Beyond the Chair. And what Bree has been able to do is go from a solo professional to $80,000 a year to $25,000 a month salon owner to $200,000 a month salon owner who can pay herself $10,000 to $15,000 a month without taking a single appointment behind the chair. She is now beyond the chair. So what we're going to be sharing with people in this upcoming program, which is going to be more hands-on, talking about things like you just said, like more of the insider financials, the managing the team, hiring, firing, stuff like that. We're going to show people how they can go beyond the chair as well. Correct?
Right. Yes. So awesome. Excited. And I think something else that I didn't bring up is I have tried other things for salon management and stuff. I've done summits. Like, I paid tens of thousands of dollars to do things like that. And I'm sure I'm not the only salon owner out there that feels like they offered some great things, but not everything. I tried Brit Seva and that Thrivers, and great stuff, but it's not all well-rounded, and it doesn't offer a little bit of everything. And I think that's what BTC is going to be amazing, is that it's going to bring in a little bit of everything that salon owners need.
So in your words, what makes Real Beauty Bosses unique? What makes them different? What's the secret sauce?
First of all, it's a community, and it's not a community to where you can't get a hold of people. Your account manager is available to you all the time. Second, the community supports each other and we help each other. Third, we get calls every week where we can actually speak. We're not just learning, or like, we can speak and ask questions, and we can get help with things that we need. The support is just incredible. I never had that with Summit. And honestly, I didn't get that with Thrivers. I know some people do. I didn't, being a Thriver. It didn't work for me. That's the number one thing with RBB. The other thing that I like is that it teaches you how to get butts in seats, how to bring people in, and now so much past that too, like how to capitalize on those, how to capitalize on retail and add-ons and all of these things. But now we're moving into helping people move from that solo spot to being a salon owner, to making money being a salon owner. Because let's be real, being an independent stylist is great. It's absolutely great. but you can only do so much. So the only way to make money in this industry is to own a salon and have employees. It is the only way to go.
100%. It's like if there was a better way, we would probably be teaching it, because like we've worked with
Absolutely.
over 3,000 people. And like, if there was a better way to get clients, if there was a better way to make money, if there was a faster and better way to grow as a salon spa beauty professional, we would be showing you how. But the way that we are doing obviously works. Look at you right now,
Right.
$210,000 last month. You're not working behind the chair at all. That's a dream, right?
And I think here's another thing. Like, if this program didn't work for me, I wouldn't still be here. I still come to coaching calls every day. I still go through the modules and do the work. Like, it's not like I'm just here because I'm happy to be here. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm here because it works, and I still use the system that worked.
Yep. 100%. So before we get into what I'd like to do today is we're going to do some Q&A. We asked all of our top clients, what would they ask someone who does a $2 million a year run rate with their salon? And so I have a whole list of questions that we have for you, but we're still not even done with the journey yet. We're only at 150,000 a month. So we'll do some Q&A here in a second, and then we'll also talk a lot about what you and I are working on right now for Beyond the Chair. Okay, so we're at $150,000 a month. We're now paying ourselves $10,000 a month, and at this point, we're not actually. Are we at Beyond the Chair yet, or are we working there at 150,000 a month?
At 150,000, I'm out from behind the chair.
So we kind of skipped over that. Let's talk about, what did that transition look like? This is where a lot of people get stuck. In your own words, how did you go from doing the appointments and managing the business and being the owner to getting your team to do all the appointments and separating yourself? How did you separate?
Sure. So first of all, I knew that it had to happen. If I ever wanted to make the $1 million mark, the $2 million mark, whatever, it has to happen. You cannot be behind the chair. You can't work in the business and on the business every day, because you're going to kill yourself. It just cannot happen. So what I decided to do was I transitioned my clients slowly to the person that was closest to me, or based on my clients' personalities. That's huge. You know your clients. And I did it slowly, but actually pretty quickly. If I think about it, it was only a couple of months, a couple of months, and they were all moved. My clients knew me. They trusted me. They were going to go wherever I told them to go. They knew our salon. They knew the culture. They knew the work was guaranteed. It wasn't an issue. But, and this is kind of off topic, I do this with new clients all the time. I speak to them, I bring them in, but I shuffle them off to the specialist that can best handle their problem.
Totally. So basically what you're saying is, like, it was all about trust with your clients. And as long as they could trust you, you were able to have that communication with them that allowed them to trust the decision that you were making, which was in their best interest. You could create a better customer experience for every client. Love it.
And if you think about it, as an owner and being behind the chair, you're constantly talking about your employees anyway when your clients are in your chair. So they're going to know those employees. I love my employees. I brag on my employees all the time. So they felt like they knew them, even if they never talked to them.
Right. I love it. Well, with that being said, what did it look like from, first of all, it took you 10 months to get 100,000 a month. How long to get to 150?
Oh gosh, we made 150. I think it was just 2 months after hitting the 100,000.
2 months later.
Yeah.
So after 12 months with Real Beauty Bosses, we did from 25,000 a month to 150,000 a month. And then how long did it take to go from 150 to 200,000?
We hit 200,000 the following month after 150.
1 month later. So 13 months with Real Beauty Bosses, 1 month over a year with COVID in the middle. You went from 25,000 a month to 210,000 a month and some change.
That is correct.
I love it. So let's talk about the transition now from 150 to 200. What changes did you make then?
So the only changes that we made is we came up with more add-ons to add to the package or the services. And then we made packages of retail to sell, which was huge. Sold like crazy. It was really funny to watch people see like the single items and then like the packages dressed up all cute. The single items are $40. The packages are $300, but they went to those $300 packages. And those made us a killing during the holiday season.
Love it. So really the only thing that added an extra $50,000 a month was, again, finding more ways to add more value to the clients you already had.
Yeah, we also booked some weddings in there too, which helped us bump up because that's something that I really want to blow up, which we've done a little bit, but I want it to just blow up now.
And so tell me this, from 25,000 a month to 200,000 a month, how much of that was actually, do you think, part of Real Beauty Bosses helping you versus you doing things on your own?
So I would say RBB helped me over 50% because it helped me with like, I have a lot of ideas. You know me. I always have a lot of ideas and come up with things, but it gave me someone to bounce stuff off with. It taught me how to get people in the door when I needed somebody. If we had a last minute cancellation, I knew how to hunt and harvest. If we had a no-show, I could post something and have somebody come in for a haircut. So it definitely helped consistently keep me going where I needed to be.
So what I'm hearing is you learn the foundations and the fundamentals that everything has been built upon. And ultimately, you've been able to take those fundamentals and run with them. It got you the kickstart and the launch pad that you needed to go and do what you knew you wanted to do.
Yes, because as a business owner, you can have as many ideas as you want and get those from other people and get scripts and get whatever. But if you don't make those fit your culture, it's never going to work. So I feel like RBB is a partnership. Like you guys give us this and I take this, but I have to make it my own. You know, you can walk me through it, but I got to make it my own, and then we can merge and blow up.
I love it. It's awesome. So Bree, this is amazing recapping all this with you. I've took so many notes here, and I think anyone who watches this video has so many takeaways. And ultimately what I want to share is like, you know, there's been over 3,000 clients that we have who are in our programs, but you're one of the top runners, if not the top runner. And so like, with that being said, what makes you different from all the other people who have joined Real Beauty Bosses or who may join Real Beauty Bosses in the future versus like, what makes you different? Why did you have the success and why do others not?
Commitment and perseverance, 100%. I committed to doing the work because what was it going to hurt to try it? And I stuck with it. I came up with a routine. I showed up and I did the work, period, point blank.
Love it. And so in your own words, I would love, because we might be sharing this to people who have not been subjected to Real Beauty Bosses before. They may have never heard us before. How would you describe the Real Beauty Bosses Elite program?
So elite is a beauty of its own. It's a program where you're going to have a community of like-minded people. You're going to be able to have accountability groups to help you get through certain things. But elite is beautiful because it teaches you fundamental ways that you can use from now until forever, really, in any business that you own. And that's the beauty of it. I don't mean to be saying that, but that's the beauty of it. You can use it with anything to constantly get clients when you need them. 1,000,000%. Like that is the number one thing that you hear from people in this industry. I need clients. I don't know how to get them. Yep. And RBB teaches you that. So saying that alone is enough said for the program.
Yep.
That's without all the millions of perks that it has besides just that. But right. It teaches you how to do it, and it's easy. It's right. A really easy process.
With that being said, it's a lot of stuff that Real Beauty Bosses offers to our clients and future clients. So we talked about all that, Bree. Is there any last words of encouragement before we get into a Q&A from our top clients about, you know, what you would say to someone who's thinking about getting involved with Real Beauty Bosses to start with, but then getting involved with maybe beyond the chair as well?
Yeah, I think just probably the things that I've said. I always want better for people, and I want people to want better for themselves. And so you've got to start somewhere. If you're just starting out and you're trying to get clients in the door, start at RBB, get into Elite, get with people, OGs that have been in the program that can help you start making $1,000 a month and then $3,000 a month and let it grow and be solidified. And then you can see where you can transition into making more money and having employees and essentially finally being able to step out from behind the chair, watching it run and collecting your retirement as it goes.
I love it. Well, Bree, last thing, congratulations on all your success. And I really do think that you've been able to not only, do amazing things for you and your team and your staff and your community over there, but also you've done so much for all of our clients that we can't thank you enough, because I don't think we would be here without being able to share success stories like yourself, to create the belief for other people that they can do it too.
Right.
One thing we talk about in our program in the Butts and Seats Challenge is how Roger Bannister, the first person to run the 4-minute mile ever in the world, after he was able to do it, a lot of other people were able to do it too. And I think us sharing this, even this video here right now, people able to see from you going from the pits to, top of the mountain, it's right. Incredible to see. And so I can't thank you enough. And I'm super excited to see what we're going to do in the future.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and continue into a client top questionnaire interview where we will go and break down all the questions people asked if they could ask any question
bunch of.
to a $2 million a year salon or spa owner, what would it be? So with that being said,
All
we'll see you in
right.
the next video.
Hey there, Katie here, and I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Quick announcement, we just released our brand new mentorship program to help salon and spa owners reach that 10K, 25K, 50K, and even 100K per month point. So if you need help filling your chairs, getting new clients consistently, raising your prices, and want us to hand you a proven process that shows exactly what to do to get to that next level in your business, then click the link below or around this video, fill out the short application to see if you qualify, and our team will be reaching out to you for those next steps. Talk to you soon.